Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. This team needs a complete rebuild. They need to tear everything down and start over. Some key players can stay, but they need an offensive identity, and they need to figure it out after this season. And they also need to figure out their head coaching position as well. Davante Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the game. 864 receiving yards on the season. That is an off year for Davante Adams. Has not been able to get things going this season. And he only has 4 receiving touchdowns. And it's not Davante Adams' fault. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, before he got benched, was leading the league in interceptions, and he missed a few games as well. 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. After this season, he should no longer be with this team. The only reason that he is with this team is because Josh McDaniels was the head coach with this team at the time. You look at Aidan O'Connell. There was a lot of hype surrounding this kid coming out of the preseason. Could he be the guy? They went on a 2-game winning streak. Since then, they've been on a 3-game losing streak, and he has not looked good. Aidan O'Connell looks like a deer in headlights majority of the time. 4 touchdowns passing to 7 interceptions. He's not ready to be a franchise quarterback, and he's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. They need to go out there and draft a quarterback or go into free agency and get a solid veteran option to put around guys like Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs. I'm going to pose this question to you guys. Should they trade Davante Adams? In my opinion, they should. This is a guy that's pretty much just wasting his career with this team. He went from playing with Aaron Rodgers to being a certified playoff contender in the NFC for years. He wanted to come over and play with Derek Carr because that was his former college teammate. No problem with that. But Derek Carr was no Aaron Rodgers. Then he got his money with the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh McDaniels basically said, we're going to break this up, cut Derek Carr. Basically for the right reason, because Derek Carr in the red zone was terrible. He's terrible now with the Saints. He was terrible with this team. But Josh McDaniels basically went, said, hey, we're going to get rid of that. Derek Carr was giving Davante Adams a lot of opportunities down the field. Jimmy Garoppolo, not so much, and Aidan O'Connell, not so much as well. This team just lost to the Minnesota Vikings 0-3. They only took 3 deep shots in that game. They only had 3 passes that went for 30-plus yards down the field that were attempted. That was it. They do not have the confidence in Aidan O'Connell or Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of the season for them to lead the way. And you look at Josh Jacobs. He can't get things going either. The offensive line is shaky with this team. They need to make some improvements to the offensive line. But Josh Jacobs went from leading the league in rushing last season to now averaging 3.5 rushing yards a game. And he only has 805 rushing yards on the season. That's 6th in the NFL, but he's 1st in carries in the NFL as well. So they're giving him the football more than any other running back in the NFL. So you expect for that production to be up. And he's still a very good running back in the NFL. It's not me saying that Josh Jacobs is bad. He doesn't deserve his money. He's still a very good running back in the NFL. That's just how bad of a situation these star players are in with this team. And it brings in another point. This offense is just completely broken from a scheme standpoint. Besides forcing the ball to Davante Adams when they don't need to into double and triple coverage, and then going to guys like Jacoby Myers, besides those 2 options, they don't go to anyone else. You get the occasional run play with Josh Jacobs. That's it. Michael Mayer does not see the field enough. He doesn't get enough targets. This is a kid that can be a star tight end with this team. He's had a lot of good moments with this team. Get him the football more. I don't know what the hell happened to Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow had that one good year with John Gruden. Then he got fired and Rich Bisaccia came in. He had 1,000 yards receiving. And this team was 1 play away from beating the Cincinnati Bengals and going and advancing the playoffs. Since then, he's done nothing. Ever since Josh McDaniels came over to the scene, he hasn't had that same production. And he is still a very good player. He may not be that same player he was a couple years ago, and I understand injuries have played a part in that in the past. But when he has been healthy, they don't give him the football. They don't even give him those looks in the slot. This is a guy that went from being a top slot wide receiver into the NFL to now rarely ever seeing anything on the field. They have to get him involved moving forward as well. These are veterans that can be used on playoff teams right now. Instead, they're on this Raiders team that doesn't have an offensive identity, and I feel bad for them. And you look at the defense. The defense over the last couple of years has been struggling with this team. But this season, it's the strong part of this team. And it's not just because the offense is that bad. They're a legitimate defense. This defense can be a playoff caliber defense, in my opinion, if the offense can match the production. Max Crosby is one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. Yet another year when he's averaging double digits in sacks. 13.5 sacks this season, 1 forced fumble. Tyree Wilson hasn't been a good pass rusher with this team. He has 2.5 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. You hope that he can develop into that, but right now he hasn't looked good. And he's their first round pick out of Texas Tech. He's going to be a developmental project, but hopefully he could come in eventually and just give you some more good snaps. But you have better players on the team that can go get the quarterback than Tyree Wilson, in my opinion. Then you go look at it from this standpoint. Chandler Jones was supposed to be with this team. He had a mental episode, and I hope everything is okay with him. They cut him from the roster. And Chandler Jones last season dealt with some injuries, but the season before, he was getting after the quarterback doing what he could need to do, and he was still in the edge. So you're missing that veteran presence right now. So on one end of the spectrum, you look at Tyree Wilson, you can say, hey, man, this kid looks like a bust. On the second end, he wasn't supposed to be in this situation to begin with. He's supposed to be switching snaps with Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones will be supposed to take majority of the snaps. Tyree Wilson comes in and gives him some relief duty. Instead, that did not happen. Robert Spillane has been a very good linebacker this season with this team. So has Divine Diablo. Their secondary has been very good as well, with guys like Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Mooring at the safety position and Marcus Epps. They have good players on this team. They just don't have it at where it matters the most. And defensive end does matter the most with Max Crosby. I'm talking about on the offensive end. If this team had a star quarterback and better offensive line protection, they'll be one of the better teams in the NFL. Instead, they do not have that. And that comes down from ownership, because they let Josh McDaniels run this team in the ground. This is a team that was bonded together over the John Gruden situation. Then John Gruden, who was no longer with this team, they went with Rich Bisaccia, led them to the playoffs. And guess what? They let him go. They let him walk for Josh McDaniels. And the same thing's going to happen to Antonio Pierce as well. He's 2-3 last 5 games. The players love him. He's try to come out with that aggressive culture. I don't believe that he is the right head coach for this team. They need to go out there, get an offensive guy, and go out there and get the right quarterback with this team. Stay away from the Bill Belichick tree. Maybe you want to dip into the Kyle Shanahan tree. Maybe you want to go out there and drop the bag at the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions and Coach Johnson. Or maybe you want to go talk to Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator with the Houston Texans. You see the job that he's doing with CJ right now down there in Houston. This team, they have players that they want to hold on to them. They're veterans. Davante Adams isn't getting any younger. Josh Jacobs isn't getting any younger. Hunter Renfro's not getting any younger. They probably just let Hunter Renfro walk at this point. But you have Davante Adams, who they are keen in or not trading at all. So you have good veterans. They just need to go out there and get the quarterback and the right coach with this team. And the division right now, this was an off year for the Kansas City Chiefs. This was an off year for the Los Angeles Chargers. This could have been a very special year for the Las Vegas Raiders. Instead, it just turned to being another abysmal year for this fan base that deserves better. And that starts with ownership, because he let this happen. The next coach that they get, they have to hit it on the head. John Gruden was a failure with this team because of some comments that he made on the ESPN email. And then you look at Josh McDaniels. He was just a failure from just a schematic standpoint, because he wanted to run everything like it was a Patriots 2.0. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So let me know in the comment section below, what should the Las Vegas Raiders do moving forward? Should they keep Antonio Pierce at the head coaching spot, or should they go out and try to seek out another guy to be the head coach with this team? And who do you want to see this team go and draft in the NFL draft? Should it be a guy like Drake May? Caleb Williams is pretty much off the board at this point if the Chicago Bears want to go up there and take him, but anything can happen. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.